So this is just going to be the basic agenda for this very odd title, and I lured Heather Carter in here by my weird title, but you'll see why I titled it this way. It's called Present at the Crossroads, Leadership and Care of the Students and Our Leaders at Inflection Points and Tipping Points. And basically the agenda is going to be the big picture. Then we're going to I'm going to go through what inflection points and tipping points are, both in the business world, but also for leadership, and then perspectives of student versus instructor and leader, and then we're gonna make this interactive and talk about remembering our favorite instructors and leaders, and then we're gonna apply it and talk basically about how we become better leaders with respect to the people that we serve as well as our students. And I'd like it to be interactive, so we'll go way off of the range if you guys want to talk off these slides. I don't want to connect to these slides if we go in a different direction. Okay, thanks.
Forrest Gump picture.
That was a Forrest Gump picture. I think I stole it. There's a copyright violation already. But I wanted to start big picture, so hopefully Joel, and I've got a connection with Joel too. His father was at Jerusalem Center when I was there, like a long time ago. So even the connection with Joel, our leader, is present with me. The globe, I mean, just the amazing connection when we get with BYU-Idaho, and the amazing connection it's making with the entire world. When I was in Africa, Intel sent me there on a humanitarian mission to teach Zulu children how to use computers. And we taught 1,200 of these Zulu children, most of them without shirts. And that was kind of embarrassing, in some ways very, disconcerting, with teenage girls walking around and stuff in some of these villages, and we figured that out. But the ones that did have shirts, some of them had BYU-Idaho shirts on, and Snow College, and some of these Deseret industry, drops. When I asked these kids who spoke very little English, most of it, we learned a lot of Zulu and we learned some Afrikaans, but I asked them, do you know what Harvard is? Do you know what Oxford is? One of my alma mater. No. Do you know what BYU is? Yeah. Why? They could say the word pathway. Can you believe that? It's amazing. This was a Zulu village in KwaZulu-Natal in the mountains by Lesotho. How did they know that? I don't even think we're there yet. These are shirts. My wife took our 16-year-old daughter to some islands off the coast of Western Africa, as well on a humanitarian EFY experience. Again, BYU-Idaho, pathway. People are talking about it. And as I thought about, if you can hit it one more time, as I thought about Elder Eyring's, kind of to lay the foundation, his amazing statement decades ago, when he was deciding whether to go be a leader at Stanford or Harvard, and decided instead to come here at Ricks College and made this pronouncement about finding ways for the college to serve people in a variety of cultures, and come to this campus to find direct ways to move the blessings of education from this campus into the lives of men and women everywhere. This was long before Joel was here. This was long before Joel. Joel was in Israel with me, and this is the 80s. The fiber optic, when I thought about watching these Zulu kids and I saw them at night working on computers, thinking about maybe being an astronaut now because they could cut and paste pictures of Jupiter into PowerPoints instead of thinking about being drug lords or whatever in their areas like their brothers and sisters were, I thought as the light flickered in their face, let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your God which is in heaven. And we would show them different sites, and I snuck in a few LDS.org sites and things for them to see, even though I was with Intel. I even showed them BYU-Idaho sites, pathway sites. And I would watch the light flicker, and I thought, boy, that scripture sure had a lot of meaning. And as I thought about fiber optics and things that we would bring into their lives, to bring the testimony and the gospel into their lives. And it's going everywhere, and you were part of it. And I wanted to start this with that this, if you're not feeling the spirit about this, get on your knees and feel it, because it's coming right here. It's not coming out of Provo, it's coming out of here. Can you go to the next slide, please? This is another statement. President Clark, this is another wonderful statement that he talked about. Again, moving information technology to reach everyone. When I think about us as leaders, and in surveying some of you and sending out emails, I found that wonderful instructors looking instead of at the brick and mortar world, at the click and mortar world, people like Casey, who's decided to move from a traditional environment to a full-time instructor role as an online instructor full-time. That's going to happen probably more and more. People like Jason Poole, who for 6 years has taught for the BYU-Idaho. He's lost his job 3 times. Also lost over 200 pounds to try to figure out what his life is all about, but continues to commit himself as an instructor to BYU-Idaho. People like Mike Mitchell, who continues to reinvent himself to be a better instructor while he changes his job over and over. People like Kristen Roenfeld, who teaches our B129 class, and I haven't even met her yet. She might even be here today. She is working with a student named Sister Applegate, whose husband has just left her with her 9 children, and who's basically starting her life over again, but now has a fighting chance because of you all in BYU-Idaho. These are just a few of the stories. Denny Bates, one of my TGLs, also decades of supply chain management and other business experience, has decided, semi-retired, I'm going to help lead and help instructors. So just setting the groundwork again for now going into what are we talking about when we're talking about leaders and their inflection points and tipping points. So can we go to the next slide, Wayne? So what is an inflection point? Anybody know what? Have you heard that term before? Anybody?
I'll give you a guess.
Okay.
Basically, you're heading down one path, and then you have a decision where you can change the total direction. And just to make a guess, a major inflection point for this school would have been when it went from Ricks to BYU-Idaho, and it changed the whole trajectory of everything that would come after.
Fantastic. That's great. Wayne did that. So I kept talking to my wife about inflection point. My daughter listened to me and said, why do you keep talking about infections? Why do you need to talk to them about infections, Dad? She's 8. It's not an infection point, but he's absolutely right. An inflection point is a change that happens at a specific point in time, caused by an external force or input, and requires a permanent change of direction. Oftentimes, these inflection points aren't something, it's an external change. And it can be a choice, but often it's an external force we can't help. So let's go one more and let's see some examples. Anybody know what Kodak's inflection point was? They didn't go digital. They didn't go digital. Okay, there's their inflection point, right? Get it again. How about my company, the one I work for, other than the real company that I like the most, BYU-Idaho, but the other company I work for, Intel, what was their inflection point? In the 80s, I'm talking about. Yeah, okay, so invention of the CPU, right? They were just doing storage, and they decided, hey, we're going to put it in the CPU, and it made all the difference for Andy Grove. What about this? Anybody recognize that picture? Berlin Wall, that's a big inflection point, right? Changed the world. Wayne again. You can call that an inflection point for all of us and trying to get through airports and things. Anybody know why I put that one up there?
It was Amazon.
Amazon, that's one of them. There's 2 of them. Email, okay. What was that?
I thought you were talking about old days, of course, traveling.
Okay, that's a third. That's actually a third. So they've been around for a long time, and they've had several inflection points. So, Pony Express. So actually, you actually added one that I think of. Somebody said email. Did you know that they were given a monopoly on email and they turned it down?
Oh.
Is that a bad decision? That's not an inflection point. You might want to have that.
Good for us.
Yeah, good for us.
Yeah.
That's right.
I'd wear it.
Hit it again. How about Blockbuster? They have an inflection point at some point.
Netflix and Redbox ain't their ones.
Okay, and that continues to inflect. And one more. Any Swiss watch lovers in here? What happened in the 80s and 90s with Japanese watches that might have changed the way Swiss, digital watches changed a lot for them. Now they have to do high-end. Okay, so let's go to the next slide here. There's some religious examples too. Was there an inflection point that you recognize from that picture?
In the society.
Yeah, an entire society, entire race, right? Moroni, who then had to wander for a time. What about another one? Maybe you could say David and Goliath, when Israel became more of an established nation for a while before then succumbing. So there's other inflection points too. Let's go ahead, Wayne. So why are these inflection points important? Well, they mark the point where these organisms reach the limits of their adaptation. And once this is reached, what worked before will no longer work, and that organism must evolve. And once led to that success will now lead to failure, or vice versa. It could go the other way, like you said. Okay, let's turn to tipping point. There's a difference between inflection and tipping point. Who knows what a tipping point is? It's kind of subtle, but.
That's it. What's his name? Oh, it just.
Then he wrote the book back. Malibu.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah. And it takes X amount of time to get to that level of perfection.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
I guess he wasn't the first one with the 10,000 hours.
you're right. Okay, you got it. You read the book. There's no right answer. I mean, I'm not looking for. I don't want you to play read my mind, but so this is more of a series of small changes, not this one big, massive, Moroni event, Moroni and Mormon event, but a series of small changes or incidents that become significant enough to cause a larger, more important change. Or you could look at it also as like a last weight on the scale that tips us towards a larger action. And this is going to be kind of scary here, but I made this wooden. I'm kind of a very remedial woodworker, and no, I'm not. Don't get any. Okay, this works actually. Okay, can anybody take this wood piece and balance it on your finger? Okay.
You mean to stand up in front of everybody?
Yeah.
Watch me fail?
You can't. You can only use one finger
To balance it out.
Mhm.
It's got to hang off the edge.
Okay, I guess not. I don't know the trick.
Well, I gave you a hint.
The finger's belt off. You gotta take your belt off.
Oh, you're doing pretty good. Okay, that's actually pretty great. Now, can you do it on the smallest point there? I guess I should have.
Can I use your belt?
Yeah, try to use my belt.
Actually, I know it has something to do with it, but I don't know.
Okay, so the idea is just the tipping point is like is a balance point, right? If you change the weight, the distribution of weight, the right way. I'm sure this worked earlier, but you can actually have, it's a question of physics, right? So you can't do it otherwise, but if you have the right, wait, no one's fine. Hopefully for the first time in a long time, I think that's will fall down. But so tipping point is that, yeah.
It's not like the straw that broke the camel's back.
Exactly. Okay, so that's a great saying. That straw that broke the camel's back. That's a great point.
What I've been thinking of one. I got little kids, so when we go to a splash pad, they have those big giant buckets that fills up, and then once it gets full enough that the center of gravity moves past the middle, then it dumps on the kids.
And there's no stopping it.
Yeah, and then they go, that's so fun.
Good point.
So usually, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I had a couple other
Saying,
comments
so
there.
the inflection point is a sudden change from outside, and tipping points would be cumulative.
I think that's right. Yep. Small series of changes that then tips it. I think Joel or somebody over here had a comment. No. Then there was one over here, maybe. I thought I saw a hand.
I was recently been reading a book that's called The Upward Spiral, and they did a research about small changes and how our neural pathways will change when we just make very, very small changes. And you talked about them being tipping points, and at a tipping point, we can either make a small change to have an upward cycle, meaning that we become a happier, more productive person, or we can make a small change that will give us a downward cycle that puts us more into depression and into becoming less productive. And that tipping point is so small that even the smallest of changes can propel us forward or push us down.
Okay, I love where you're going, because this is the whole point of this thing is getting to the application space. I don't want to spend a lot of time on just defining things, because I want to get to application. Here's exactly where I wanted to go. So let's move forward a little bit. There's a couple of quick examples I'll give, and then I want to get right to where she's going as leaders, so we know what the application is to all of this. Is anybody old enough to remember the 1971 Pinto?
And they can hold 6 children in the back.
Without car seats.
Sounds like
Without
somebody,
car seats,
somebody
yes.
speaking from experience. It
Yes.
sounds like
That's all
my
I have.
mother. Okay. Does anybody remember what the problem was with the 71 Pinto?
They're blowing up.
Yeah.
It was
Okay,
the,
so hit it again.
the fuel tank.
Yes.
Blowing.
This was the problem. And do you remember what caused this? Yeah, it was the fuel tank. Do you remember how much that fuel tank? Do you remember what the issue was, though? The Japanese and other countries were coming out with a small car, and it was a race to see who could get a small car out. And Ford, who actually held a patent on safe gas tanks, decided to forego that because it take too long. Put this out and hit the enter one more time. It was actually an $11 part that they decided to forego to get this out fast, and it caused massive, quite a few losses of life, and they had to redo what could have been. So this just a small tipping point of getting it out there quicker caused all sorts of failures. There was one other that you might remember too. If you did it again, Wayne. Remember this? Remember the problem with Challenger?
Temperature outside.
Morning fire call. Utah company said no, don't do it. There's a temperature issue. The O-ring. Hit it again. And unfortunately, 7 pilots. Wonderful couple of women. I mean, there was a school teacher there, I think in the upper right-hand corner, lost her life, going with them, and hit the enter one more time because of that O-ring and the temperature issue of that day.
No,
So
Kristen McCullough was the other woman.
that's right. Okay, so hit enter one more time. There's a couple more stellar examples. Anybody remember in 1882 what happened with AT&T? The Department of Justice is just interesting to probably me and Casey, but in 1982, the Department of Justice was looking at AT&T, GM, and IBM, saying, you 3 companies are very large and lazy, and we got to do something with one of the 3 of you, and we don't have enough resources to go after all 3 of you. We're going to break up one of the 3 of you. They decided on AT&T. What has happened to telecom ever since they broke up AT&T and mobility and phones and everything? It's pretty much skyrocketed, right? We got smartphones, but there it used to be bricks. Remember those bricks? Now it's the smartphones are everywhere. I mean, the world is just blown up with smartphones and fiber optics and everything. What's happened to IBM since then? General Motors gotten a little bit better, but that's because of foreign car competition. But both IBM and GM really haven't done much because they were kind of left alone. I'm not saying governmental intervention is good, but the tipping point was really because of AT&T. Here's the first project I worked on at Intel when I joined in 2000, was a nice web tablet. This was in 2000. We came out with it, we put 500 on the shelf, nobody wanted it. The tipping point hadn't happened yet. 6 years later, iPad came along, blew it out of the market. So nobody wanted ours. Everything iPad did, but nobody wanted it. So sometimes the tipping point's about timing too. So let's get to application space here where she was going. Well, a couple of religious examples first. So Captain Moroni, I think, is really the consummate example of tipping point. Remember when things were getting bad in his city, Malachi, I think it was, who was just about ready to take over. Captain Moroni grabs the code or whatever, writes on it, and immediately ousts the bad guy, tipping point. He won't let the tipping point happen to the negative. Does the same thing a few years later when the government's going bad. Sends his armies in. Captain Tipping Point. He's just Captain Tipping Point. He won't let it happen. Also a Bennett, I think. Tipping point one way to Alma the Elder, who leaves Noah the other way. Just, he won't let that tipping point, well, he allows the tipping point to happen one way or the other and then dies for it. Let's go one more, Wayne, and let's move forward. So why are these important? Well, this butterfly effect, that kind of flaps its wings, can often have long-lasting, even eternal impacts for our leaders and our students. And they're very subtle, and sometimes they're very hard to even see. But, and let's go to the next slide here. This is where she was going. With the application space here, what I wanted to get at with this, with all of this as background was, and it's been really something weighing on my mind, especially as I've been reading this book, and I know Joelle and some of us talked about it this morning. As I read, this Joseph Smith book, Rough Stone Rolling by Bushman, he goes into a lot of detail about how Joseph Smith was very good at prioritizing. And so what I want to do is talk about ways in which we, with our leaders, can, and with our students even, and how we can encourage our leaders to focus on the priorities. And it may not just be focusing on the one, but focusing with our limited resource and time, because we all have families and callings, but finding out where and when those tipping points and inflection points are happening with our leaders, people we serve, as well as even our students. Because we don't have time always to be there for everyone. But a lot of times I find with me, I like being there with my A students because they're the ones that are always showing up for my discussion board times. They're the ones showing up at my office hour. They're the ones that are fun to be with. But I'm exhausting myself in the thick of thin things. I get exhausted with them, and so the ones that really need me, I don't have time for. And I'd like to find ways with all of you on how we do better at being with the people that really need us. So let's move forward. And here's that Forrest Gump picture. We've got several students like Kristen Roenfeld's sister Applegate, 9 kids, no husband now, starting over, no degree. Kristen Roenfeld, I think, is a good example of someone who has chosen to spend 20% of her time with this one student because that one student is right there. Maybe that seems like a lot, but while she does that, this student has written all sorts of, has been very vociferous about making sure her appreciation is known for her efforts. And that's an inflection point in this student's life where there's somebody at that crossroads to help her. Go ahead first.
I just found this again. I shared this morning. I just feel so appropriate. Being there at the crossroads. This is on Facebook. This is the student support group. This one student says, "A shout out to my Art 160 instructor. Her spiritual thought this week was so inspired. It's times like this, and I'm so grateful to be getting my education at BYU-Idaho." A student responds and says, "I had 2 really neat experiences with instructors who reached out at times that only the Lord could have known that I needed the words that they shared. Love inspired instructors." We got teachers that are there, waiting in the crossroads, following the promptings for these students. That for them, these are inflection points, tipping points. It's just wonderful to read that students are finding you guys there for all of us.
Excellent. That was an excellent quote too. Let's go back here and then we're going to come over here.
I was just thinking when you were talking about this that there's like key times that I know students are going to need a little bit extra help. Like it's like the 3rd week of classes. Those students have submitted some assignments, but they're very overwhelmed, and it's kind of like, okay, am I just going to give up, or am I going to try? Like there's just every once in a while I'll feel prompted, and I've noticed through the years. I've been here a long time. I've noticed that there's always certain times of the semester where this happens. I think where students are at a crossroads.
Yeah. How do we, yeah, go ahead.
have thought about that in relation to my class, and I wonder if, I wouldn't know how to research this, but maybe somebody does. If there's a specific point where a student is on that edge, if it's always week 3, or if it's week 3 in this class or week 2 in this class, I wonder if there's a way to, I'm sure there is a way to get the data on that and say, here's when you need to be really aware. So overall, it's about here, but your class is a little different, so it shows up at a little different point. I bet there's a way to research that. I'm not the guy to do it.
Yeah, I mean, one of my teachers that I, or the QBLs, Mike Alstrom, he spends a lot of time, he spends an inordinate amount of time in the self-reflection journals. He taught for 25 years at University of Idaho in Moscow in the traditional classroom. And he says, the students in my classroom wouldn't talk to me at all because I'd stand up and lecture and try to engage with them. They didn't like it because they were too close to me. But boy, online, they'll talk all day on self-reflection because there's an enmity there, right? And so he's voraciously, he loves it because he's voraciously reading the signs of the tea leaves. That's his recognizing, discerning is the self-journals. I don't want to go there yet because there's some other comments, but that's one way he sees the discernment is in the self-reflections.
That's when they kind of show it, but I was just gonna say, it depends on the class, but I'm finding, I teach HTML and CSS, coding. And I'm finding that while we're doing the beginning things, it's relatively easy as long as they just do the readings and stuff. And it's laying the foundation. It's once they have to actually put it into operation, that's when they have to, they run into those problems. So sometimes taking in the knowledge, but when they have to actually apply it, that's the tipping point.
That's their tipping point is when they have to apply it.
Yes.
Okay. So that's when you're.
That's when I'm most needed at the crossroads where.
Okay.
To reach those that didn't quite get it to gel.
Okay. So the application stage of the substance.
Yes.
Okay.
And even when I taught elementary and high school, I found that to be the point. While I'm giving the knowledge, they're doing okay, but once I'm asking them to put it to use, that's when the hard part comes.
And do you find their personal issues come out of that time too, or
Yes,
just their,
indeed.
okay, so everything comes rolling out?
Yes, indeed.
Okay, interesting.
And then reminding them about being on the Lord, and I'll be there too. I spend more office hours at that time helping.
That's great. Okay, so that's when you're in the car right there.
Yeah, I'm in the car. Actually, I'm not in the middle of the intersection.
All right, great. Okay. I think there was some other comments over there. Yeah.
I found it's been inspiration. I get an email, and for some reason, a thought pops into my mind to share a personal experience, or a quote, or my very favorite talk of all time, Elder Scott's 1995 October talk on adversity. And I just send that, and if it pops into my mind, then I know, okay, this is what we need. Right? I was in the middle of chemo for cancer when he did that talk, and it just, I've got part of it memorized. I mean, there's just, just a sense of when it happens. Yeah.
So you're just pondering in meditation base, and then you feel like now's the time to send this out.
Yeah, or something else. Something in their email causes me to say. And
so you're kind of reading email, but kind of email. You read it in their emails.
I do.
Okay.
And so many times they come back and said, that is exactly what I needed right now. And I didn't know that.
Interesting. So you're there at the crossroads too. All right.
I agree with the comment that was made about week 3. I think it's when somebody starts dawning on the students that, whoa, this is hard. And some of them turn tail and run. They go invisible. But you'll have most students push through it. But later on, so they've been weakened by that, they'll start having doubts. And it's long about week 8, 9, when they go radio silent. And that's when it's time for me to reach out. Hey, you've been doing great. How can I help? And so that's a clue for me. That's a red flag. Somebody who has been a zombie all the way long and participating, okay, but it's when they've been doing good and they drop off the face of the earth. It might be a personal crisis, a family crisis, or it might just be, you know what, this is cumulatively, this has become too hard. I can't do this. And that's when I have to help them if they want to be helped.
So week 3, so if we were to do a scale, week 3 is when we should start adding hours then in time to drive up to the crossroads and start, looking around a little bit.
And I don't know those additional hours, but just saying, hey, you guys might hit a wall. I've had students do it before, and just post an announcement and some picture of Douglas Smith or something that, hey, it's some encouragement. You're gonna encounter this, but push through it because you'll make it.
Okay.
I'll help you make it.
That's good. Okay. Yeah.
I was just thinking about in classes I've taught that have some kind of group feedback. If I engage with peer feedback where I'm noticing that, oh, this person is no longer engaging with their group, that's a big, that's kind of a flag. Or just, even if I'll get emails like, hey, so-and-so's not showing up, or sometimes they don't display it necessarily. I hear it from others.
Okay, great. That's great. Okay, that's good. So watching the group dynamic, and they're starting to fall off from leaving their group. Okay, go to the next slide then, Wayne. But what about, isn't this kind of, we're their virtual angels. The Lord works through us, and this is an inspired university. It's not about the money. This is not about that. I think a lot of us do this for free. We were called to do this, but we are the virtual angels, and this will be part of our eternal welfare right here. This is how I feel sometimes, though. Especially when Casey rewrites the entire class and the textbook, and it's 3.0, and she introduces Google Community and Google Hangouts on here. No, sorry, we like talking. So, but then go to the next slide. We have. Then I feel like this is how I felt as a student too. Sometimes it helps to think about how did you feel as a student, and remember these kids, they're millennials. They seem strong, but they're scared, they're nervous, and they're going through a lot right now. There's a lot of wickedness on the earth, and there's a lot of it's hard. A lot of them, are worried about their future. So let's go to the next slide. But, we have lives too, right? We have families and kids, and we're losing jobs too, and problems. There's this back and forth that we all go through, and I hear it from my TGLs. I hear it from their instructors. Wayne, next slide. And then hit it one more time. But trust by our students and our leaders is one in drips and lost in buckets, and we don't have time, and we don't have the ability to be able to fall down and slack on the job. We need to keep the trust up. Let's go one more. So get one more there. This is a good one for David Ashby. And one more. So when I was in Africa, we won't go through it. This was an element that charged us, and I think sometimes these students charge into school. Get it one more time. We don't have time for this, but we saw a pride of lions take down a water buffalo too. We did a little safari thing after we worked with the students, and I see, we all see instructors working as if, it's a collective thing, and as long as, 65% of my students get through, then that's a good enough percentage. But it's really about the one, and let's go a few more. It is our job, the student is our job. It's not about, we just are funneling through a bunch of students, and hopefully the masses will get through, and somehow the road will get painted. If a student is laying on the road, we pick it up, brush it off, hopefully revive it. If it can't be revived, and then, obviously we need to help best we can. But It's not that we're just the painters. So I want you to think about right now, in the time, a little bit of time we have remaining, think about your most favorite instructor that you ever had. Just picture him or her in your mind right now. College or high school. Just for a second, just think right now, just try to remove your family from your mind for a minute, all the things that are bothering you right now, you know, the vicissitudes of life, and just think about that one professor or high school teacher that you really love. The first one that comes into your mind just pops there. And now think, did that professor or teacher do more than just sit and lecture to you? Chances are he or she did. And what did that professor or teacher do? Would anybody be willing to offer up any explanation of what that teacher did differently?
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll admit that I'm a lawyer too. I was.
Oh.
And I went to the University of Idaho, and we wanted to do a copyright class, and they didn't offer it. And so one professor said, I'll do it. And we met in the teacher's lounge, and he said, and my only requirement is that I don't have to come prepared. You guys come prepared. And it was a good place. And he alternated with the guy that taught tax on being the most favorite at the University of Idaho School of Law. So it was, yeah, it was great. Right?
Yeah.
President Packer always, he taught that, you know, when you are working with students, that student should never walk away from any encounter that you have with them without something that they either feel more loved or more confident or more knowledgeable, but they should never walk away from any encounter without having something or taking something away. And I've thought about that, and my two favorite instructors were Darlene Louder in junior high school, and then Lyle Louder here at Brits College. They were married, and they were that kind of teacher that you could go up and ask them a question and come away a better person. You didn't just get the question answered, but you also got more. You either felt their concern or their love or their encouragement or whatever. It was never just an answer to your question. It was always that extra something that President Packer talked about, having people walk away. And so I was thinking that when I email a student, or, you know, it's very easy to say, yeah, that's fine, and send instead of, you know, acknowledging what they've said and giving them a little something extra.
Beautiful. Thank you for that. Yeah.
There's one name that comes to mind, as a professor I had in college. I don't think he has. I don't think he knows. Excuse me. The effect that he's having on my life. Because he had confidence in me, and I didn't have confidence in myself. That's it.
It's a beautiful testimony. Thank you. We won't do the least favorite, because you know, we all know that one in your own mind. We won't go there. That's a dark place for all of us. Let's hit one more slide. Because what type of instructor are we? You know, now that we've thought about it a little bit, where are we in the grand scheme of things? And I just kind of threw this up. This isn't Joel's slide, so this is way in the false doctrine corner for me. He is completely absolved of any responsibility for this, as is Heather. But you know, I was just thinking about what type of instructors do we become online when we have families and other jobs maybe and other things going on. You know, if there's an x-axis and a y-axis of engaged or caring and more of that efficiency side where we're trying to get stuff done. You know, there's those really super or less engaged instructors and less efficient ones that are kind of those slothful ones that are just, we're trying to motivate, we're trying to move them along. They think that, you know, that they're here, but this is a nice thing to have, a nice side job to have. And, you know, but they just think on a different level than maybe some of you leaders. And I hate to call them sloths, but they kind of are. They just, if you've seen Zootopia, you know what I'm talking about. You know, the DMV sloth there. They're very slow. And you want to get them moving. Sometimes they don't even know there's that slow. But they're not that engaged, and we're trying to get them motivated, and we love them. But And then if you move up the engaged ladder, but not really the efficiency ladder, you've kind of got that caretaker who they love, and they just are so loving, and they're wonderful, and they're engaged, and but they spend hours just engaging, and that's great, but they're not very efficient, and they're exhausted. But they're engaging, and I love them, and they're caretakers, but they keep complaining to me, at least, and probably to you as leaders, why am I always so exhausted? But I just spend 3 hours on the phone with one student or one instructor if you're a TGL. Okay, you're a caretaker, you're a wing member, and that's okay. But let's go down the efficiency scale. You might have a less engaged one that's really efficient. That's kind of the assembly line worker. Boy, they'll just push you right through that assembly line. You just get right on through, and boom, you're done. But there's not that care. There's not that engagement.
And there's not the learning.
Yeah, and I really think we're trying, at least in my mind, this again, disclaimer to Joelle, I think in my mind, we're trying to be up here. We want to be efficient and engaged at the same time, and find ways to help focus, like Joseph Smith did. I got to translate the Book of Mormon. I know my father-in-law hates me. He's not giving me food. This talks about from Lucy Maximus' journal and Emma Smith's journal and all these. He's not giving me food because I'm not out there farming like I should be. I'm going to go to Methodist meetings with my father-in-law, but I hate it because I've got to translate this Book of Mormon that's going to save millions. And he just talks, it talks about how he continued to focus on efficiency and what was important, even though his father-in-law hated him. And he offended people, but he just tried to make them happy, but kept focusing on efficiency and engagement. And I think that's where we need to be as best we can. And those students that are struggling, we need to be there, like so many of you have said. Be kind of like that virtual angel that finds the student or the leader, the instructor that is struggling. Be at the crossroads, and then move and shift to the next crossroads, and move and shift to the next crossroads. And don't exhaust yourself in the thick of 10 things, because we need your energy to be there at each crossroads and not at every crossroads. And I hope I've said that right, Joelle, but are we okay? So I just want to leave you with that, and I hope I've been helpful here, but thank you for your time, and I'll close in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.